never really gotten back to that game. I started playing around again. That last October, I took a little bit of time off and just started playing around again, just trying to do something new. And then I found, like, the state of Haskell game development made me a little bit sad from one sense, because we have folks like John Carmack out there talking about how Haskell would be good to work in, and then he ran off to Racket. And then we didn't really have much else to show. We have, like, I believe Chucklefish has been building this thing called Wayward Tide, which is a little pixel art game that they've been doing in Haskell. Ollie Charles has his little Hadoom thing, which is like a Haskell Doom clone. And that would be a wonderful sales pitch for Haskell if this was 1995. Unfortunately, I love Ollie, don't get me wrong. It's just, it's not going to sell that Haskell can do real-time scalable things. And so I started sitting around and just playing around with the OpenGL package because I hadn't really been doing so lately. And it was the most soul-crushingly depressing thing that I have ever actually done in Haskell. And it was because I was starting to use the abstractions that they offered. And the classes that they offer, note the minimal definition there. That is a wonderful minimal definition. It would be wonderful if they exported those functions. So I can't actually use the abstractions that they offer. So the OpenGL package was shipped with support for 3.3. This is a little bit dated now. This was at the time when I wrote it. It only really had support for OpenGL 3.3 and earlier. And if you needed anything more, you should go to the OpenGL raw package, which had support for OpenGL 3.3 and earlier. And so if you needed anything later, you were just out of luck. You didn't have anything you could do. You couldn't use the abstractions that you were given to interoperate with the OpenGL raw stuff. So it was you take your code with OpenGL, you'd throw it all out, and you'd start all over again. And if you needed more, you were out of luck. So I sat down and I filed a bunch of issues on the OpenGL package, and eventually gave up, and they eventually put me in as a maintainer. Oops. Anyways, so I got a little bit frustrated and sat down with a person in Polarina, Gabriel Arthur Pedersen, and we built a tool for extracting from the XML specification for OpenGL all of the versions of all of OpenGL and all extensions that have ever existed for all time and put them into a package. Okay? So that actually is, we only generate about 6 modules worth of code. It's everything that has ever existed. We extract documentation. We extract all the things. Okay? So I figured if I wanted to be able to sell Haskell for game development, I needed 3 things. I needed to be able to say all the things. You shouldn't get stuck because we're using Haskell. It should be more pleasant than what we have in other environments. So it should be nice to be able to download images from I should be able to upload and download a texture, or I should be able to serialize a bunch of data out to OpenGL. And and the other thing was I needed a reason for someone who would not normally look at the Haskell code to go read the source to figure out what the hell we're doing. So I built a little Haskell real-time ray tracer that can do, this is rendered real-time using Haskell to generate fragment shaders to spit out all of this wonderful stuff. And then, unfortunately, the third leg of this thing kind of fell apart because, well, Tim Sweeney over at Epimega Games shipped a slightly flashier demo. They used some of the same techniques. So I'll just use this brand new kind of rendering technology based on some stuff that Inigo Coilez has been doing, where I just render arbitrary mathematical functions, is no longer the bleeding edge of what I could possibly do. So I'm sadly out of time. If anybody is curious about this thing, feel free to ambush me. I've probably ambushed half of you individually over the last 6 months just talking about this sort of thing. So thank you very much.
Right.